It makes a lot of sense. You know, everything that has been coming at me um lately is very much about it's time to connect. And like I was saying earlier, I believe that healing happens in community. There is a lot of work that we need to do by ourselves. There's a lot of meditation, there's a lot of study that you can't necessarily do in a group. But once you reach a certain level, you got to get out there. Or I feel like I have to get out there and I have to connect with people in order, because to me, the whole point of this work and this healing is to have harmonious relationships. What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your girl Yuta K Best, and you are watching and or listening to Hella Random Radio, where positive energy lives. Happy new moon in Sagittarius for my Western astrologers, and I actually didn't look to see. Although I think it's early Sagittarius, so it's probably actually a new moon in Scorpio for our Jyotish and sidereal folks. Um, how you doing today, Professor X?
I'm doing better. Scorpio season was kicking my butt, but I
Scorpio.
am
Well,
doing much better.
nice. Yeah, I was gonna say Scorpio season kicked everybody's butt, but that's probably not entirely fair to say. But it was heavy, and I would imagine that if I had the opportunity, to really run some sort of a survey,
Hmm.
I think that we would find that a lot of people, felt a lot of that heavy energy. And I think, in my opinion, um, a lot of it, or it was exacerbated by the election,
Absolutely.
would definitely be my opinion. Shout out to the
Absolutely.
right. Shout out to the fam bam in the place to be. So good to see both of my little sisters, the one love below in the place to be, and wise up. And
What's up,
Professor X,
wise up? The one
everybody,
love
please.
below.
Yes. Everybody, please follow Professor X. Please follow Wise Up. Wise Up, are you going live tonight at 7 Eastern Time? Please let us know in the chat. Um, and I guess while we wait for some more folks to come in, I wanted to start by asking what you thought of the conversation with Shechem Ra last week.
It's been great to spend more time on the election stuff, and the predictions stuff, you know. You know, for me, when it comes to predicting, the way I kind of look at divination is not so much about what's going to happen in the future, but how we should prepare for the future.
Ashe.
That's how I kind of look at it. Now, when you're looking at how to prepare for the future, I think elements will come up as to what's going to happen in your future. But, I have a PhD in chemistry, and the area of chemistry that I studied was quantum mechanics.
Okay. Oh,
Quantum
dope.
mechanics, yeah, quantum mechanics is where science and religion interface. And quantum mechanics speaks to predictions. It
Right.
speaks to manifestation. And what we know is by looking at the result, you can affect the result, right? So looking at your future, you can affect your future. And of course, that's why people want to know their future, right? But just because you know your future doesn't mean that you know the right thing to do for your future. So it's
Right.
important that we get guidance for our future from spirit, right? So I don't like to lean towards predictions. It doesn't fit within the realm of what I do, right? So I would not do a prediction for, who's going to be the president, or I wouldn't do
Mhm.
a prediction for those types of things, because we can affect the result. We can affect the result, and we can affect how we perform underneath that, right? And
Right.
I'm not talking about what other people choose to do. If they choose to make predictions, that's fine, but that's not how I operate, right? I
Right.
lean towards how can we best prepare for our future? How can we get guidance from spirit to prepare for our future? And if spirit tells us, say, hey, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, then that's fine. That's fine. But I like to lean towards that aspect of, okay, spirit, how can I best prepare for the future? But overall, I thought it was a pretty good discussion in terms of looking at who we are, where we're going as souls, as spiritual beings. But definitely it'd be good it would have been good to talk more about the election stuff. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I knew it, but I thought it would just be ridiculous, to schedule any more time on a raid train. But
Yeah.
it was almost completely unfulfilling for me, because we didn't really talk on any of the things that I wanted to talk on. And that
Yeah.
conversation actually helped me to realize how much these conversations are enjoyable and like
Mhm.
medicine for me, as much as
Mm.
things that I'm hoping will help and inspire others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like neither one, my conversations with you and my conversations with him quite often, reach towards 3 hours. So it was
Mhm.
pretty silly to kind of imagine, us trying to get a lot done in 2 hours.
Mm.
Um, but it's all good. And I agree. I definitely agree. Most of the astrologers that I really love
Mhm.
use it as, will say often, that we don't use this as a predictive tool. Like,
Mhm.
we use it to analyze the energy and to, like you said, kind of figure out what to prepare for, how to prepare, what are the best ways to move. And I actually, this is a topic that I wanted to talk about. I kind of hate to jump into it too soon, but
Right.
it's such an easy segue. But I've been really studying it since you started kind of getting into it. And I'm reading autobiography of a yogi, and it's in here,
Mhm.
and it's actually, I have this section that I wanted to read, and it says astrology is the study of man's response to planetary stimuli. The stars have no conscious benevolence or animosity. They merely send forth positive and negative radiations.
Mm.
Of themselves, these do not help or harm humanity, but offer a lawful channel for the outward operation of cause effect equilibriums that each man has set into motion in the past. A child is born on that day and at that hour when the celestial rays are in mathematical harmony with his individual karma. His horoscope is a challenging portrait revealing his unalterable past and its probable future results. But the natal chart can be rightly interpreted only by men of intuitive wisdom. The message boldly blazoned across the heavens at the moment of birth is not meant to emphasize fate, but to arouse man's will to escape from his universal thraldom. What he has done, he can undo. None other than himself was the instigator of the causes of whatever effects are now prevalent in his life. He can overcome any limitation because he created it by his own actions in the first place, and because he possesses spiritual resources that are not subject to planetary pressure. And that is really kind of a deep thing to hear for um to hear from a yogi.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the words of Yogananda, who is the premier yogi to come to the West, his guru,
Right.
Sri Yukteswar. Those were his words. And so it's really interesting, this idea. And what I do know and have, listening to other astrologers, what our astrology chart is
Mm-hmm.
a picture of the sky at the time of our birth,
Right.
which, if read correctly, tells us our karma.
Mm.
And that's it. It's
Hmm.
telling us about our karma and how our karma has created the energies that are coming at us at any given time.
Right.
And so, like you said, it is a picture that can help us understand what kind of energies to expect and figure out how best to work with those energies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
really, I've been thinking about that a lot, and definitely you like Heather Insworth too. And in her most recent talk about this new moon, she said that as we transition, into the age of Aquarius and the skies, I guess, are shifting again,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, it's becoming more and more unrealistic to use astrology as a predictive tool. you
Hmm.
know it's really important at this time that we start to use our intuition. The astrology is very helpful. It will show you, different
Right.
energies that are occurring, but our intuition is also growing, and I just love to keep hearing more and more people talk about how intuition is way more important than anything else, and how
Right.
we really want to figure out how to grow it and honor it.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and that's one thing. He'll be back on. Shechem Ra will be back on Sunday the 15th. It'll be the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about that. I want to ask, because prior, and we didn't get to talk about it last week, but he's known on this channel for saying that no one has ever told him that he was wrong
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
any of
Mm-hmm.
his predictions, but now a prediction is wrong, so,
Right.
this hard science, that you think astrology is, like,
Right.
we really got to start, in my opinion, figuring out the more intuitive aspects instead. I mean, and even Sri Yukteswar,
Yeah.
he said, but the natal chart can rightly be interpreted only by men of intuitive wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So even way back in the 30s and 40s, these yogis understood the importance of intuition.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And good afternoon, your diverse. Yeah, absolutely. I think that again with quantum mechanics, where science interfaces with religion, we can have some influence, we can have some impact on our future by knowing our future. Now, I certainly believe that there's certain things that are written in stone, right? That's going to happen in our lives. And then some things are necessarily not written in stone. There's a fabric, right? Quantum mechanics, a lot what the spirit speaks to, that the future to some degree is kind of laid out. It is kind of laid out to some degree. And I really like what Shechem said in terms of, he used an example from the Matrix, when Neo was talking to the oracle, and she asked him, "Would you like to have a piece of candy?" And he said, "Well, you already know what I'm gonna do." And so he started asking questions about their ability to make choices, our ability to make choices. And she said to him, "You've already made the choice. You're here to understand it."
Right.
Right? The Bible also speaks about that our life is written out in the book of records or in the book of life. It also says that we've been predestined, right? Also, we know that many new age experts have shared that we are here to fulfill a purpose, right? So there's some things that are going to happen in our lives. There's some challenges that are going to happen in our lives. I don't deny that at all. You know, sometimes we're gonna predict that something's gonna happen. Sometimes we're not gonna predict that something's gonna happen. In my experience, I've just found it's better to focus on how to prepare for what's going to come, okay? Or as opposed to, is this going to happen in my life? I think that we start to run into the red where we can make errors for ourselves and for others. And if that's your gifting, that's fine. But in my experience, it's better to lean more towards how can we prepare, right? Spirit,
Right.
don't necessarily tell me what's going to happen, but tell me how can I best prepare for what you know is going to happen.
Right. I mean, and I've always, well, I got into cardiology, well, I got into cardiology because I needed help after I left corporate. But I stuck with cardiology because um, it was very helpful. And the more people I showed it to, the more people it resonated with, you
Yeah.
know. But reading the future has never been interesting to me. Like for
Mm,
me, once I was pushed out to read, even though I never wanted to read, once I started to read, you know, I was reading because I wanted to help people remember who they are
mm,
and maybe figure out what their highest destiny might be. I'm not
right.
interested in the future for future's sake. And what I know, especially when you're talking about a collective reading for more than one person, you
Right.
know, that is all about potential energy. These are the energies that exist. This is what's likely to happen if you are taking care of yourself in this way or that way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree, that it's a tool for helping us to prepare for me and you. Now there
Mm-hmm.
are people who literally can zoom in and see,
Right.
jump around in past lives or seeing the future. Although I don't know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who jump around very well. I know people who get a lot of unasked for information to a certain extent. It's
Mm-hmm.
my judgment that most of the people that I know that are truly psychic, like who literally see aspects of the future,
Right.
don't necessarily get to ask as
Mm.
much as spirit is just showing them what spirit wants the other person to know.
Right. Right.
And so it's up to spirit. But yeah, I mean, I do think that you tread a potentially dangerous ground if you are promising people that you know what's going to happen unless you get those visions.
Mm-hmm.
And even those visions, in my opinion, don't tell you anything else except for what you saw in that vision.
Yeah. Yeah. We can tap on that envelope of, what's gonna happen. We can definitely tap on that envelope. And when I do a reading, it is predictive. I mean, different things come up. I'm not trying to predict, but different things come up. And the things that come up in my filter, because I think we all have a filter, when we're talking to
Right.
spirit. What comes up in my filter is spirit. What does this person need to know? What does this? How can this? What? and so spirit might say, hey, I did a reading for I did a reading where a lady was saying, hey, I have a child, the child, they've grown up now, they're older, they want to come back into my life. I'm not sure if that's safe for me and for my children because, I've had a wild child. Okay. And I just don't know if this is the time for to allow her back into my life, allow them back into my life. And they wanted to know, should I or shouldn't I, And spirit was like, no, this is not the time to allow this wild child back into your life. And spirit, share other things with me, you know, uh, you know, this child is lying to you.
Mm,
This child is when this child is around your younger children, they're lying to your younger children, and there's things that you don't know that this older child has told this younger child about you and about the situation, and you need to do some investigation around that to find out what are these lies that have already been told. And
damn.
then by opening this door, that's going to continue, right? It's going to continue to twist the mind of the younger children, and this is one of the reasons why this, child should not come back into, you know, your life at this time. And so, here spirit is saying, hey, this is happening. And if this child comes back into your life, this is what's going to happen, right? So looking when I do predictions or do readings per se, I'm looking for spirit. What should we know about the situation? And spirit, how can we prepare for this situation? And spirit will say to me in different readings, and I share with people, if you do this, you're going to get this result.
Right.
If you do this suggestion from spirit, this is going to be the result. Now you choose, right?
Right.
So in that sense, it's not saying that the future is fixed. It's saying that the future is going to manifest based upon some choices you're going to make.
Right.
And that's the danger with knowing the future. If you know, like it doesn't, let's say we're able to predict that the president is going to who's going to win. Okay, it's not so much important who's going to win as opposed to what are you going to do about that.
Yeah.
And that's the danger. If you know it, how are you going to react,
Mm,
right? So there's certain things that we really should not know, right? And so when I do my readings, my filter is spirit. What should we know? Because there's some things that is not going to be a benefit to us.
right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's my take on it. The information's there, but we do begin to run into some potential dangers when we're tapping on that door.
Yeah. Yeah. I always tell people, especially, it was one thing when I was just reading the cards when I first started in like 2018 or whatever. But in 2020, when I added the Akashic records, um, it really became clear to me that what I'm offering, probably because it's also what I need most of the time,
Hmm.
is the information that is going to help you to overcome your most immediate hurdles.
Mm,
Or,
okay.
like I always like to talk about, our wounds and the karma or whatever it is that we're here to overcome as like an onion,
Hmm.
and healing is like peeling off a layer at a time.
Yes.
And so for me, what my Akashic Records readings generally does is tell you the best way to peel off that first layer of the onion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can relate to that a lot as well. When I first started doing the angel numbers, my thoughts were, okay, am I reading for other people? And there is a benefit there. And I feel pushed in that direction that yes, read for people, get this system out for people. I developed a card system based upon the angel number principles. Yes, get that system out. But what I have found is that it's been deep healing for myself, right? It's been deep growth for myself, right? Not trying to necessarily determine my future, but helping me to grow. Just like you're talking about peeling back those layers of onions for our growth, for our healing. I think that's really been a big takeaway for me, and can be a big benefit for people in getting a reading or doing readings.
Yeah,
That
Ashe,
personal growth, you know.
Ashe, Ashe,
Yeah.
Ashe. Yeah, I mean, and it's just clear what I've gone through since the election happened, and between Shechem Ra and Mukunda Das, you know, it's become clear in that month, in this time since the election, that I got to stop comparing my journey to everybody's journey and
Mm,
thinking that because I am on the cusp of ascension, that everybody is on the cusp of ascension, because it's
okay.
not true. And there's a lot of people who are not even really interested, which is always very surprising to me. It's just like, here's an answer. Here's some work that you got to do. Let's do this work, and most
Mm,
motherfuckers are like, I got to stop doing what?
yeah,
I
it's
gotta,
tough work.
right, I gotta do what every day,
It's tough
Um,
work. It can be
yeah,
very tough work.
yeah. I mean,
It
and
can be
it's just
very tough work.
ultimately, I believe that everybody is going to get to the place of enlightenment. It's just not
Hmm.
all in this lifetime, and that's the other thing. Like, I actually wrote another thing from Autobiography of a Yogi. It's probably going to be easier for me to read it from my phone, that I actually used in my post to advertise the show this morning on Instagram.
Hmm.
Let's see. The early Christian church accepted the doctrine of reincarnation, which was expounded by the Gnostics and by numerous church fathers, including Clement of Alexandria, the celebrated Origen, who were both from the 3rd century, and Saint Jerome, who was from the 5th century. The doctrine was first declared a heresy in AD 533 by the Second Council of Constantinople. At the time, many Christians thought the doctrine of reincarnation afforded man too ample a stage of time and space to encourage him to strive for immediate salvation.
What?
But truths suppressed lead disconcertingly to a host of errors. The millions have not used their one lifetime to seek God, but to enjoy this world, so uniquely one and so shortly to be forever lost. The truth is, man reincarnates on earth until he has consciously regained his status as a son of God.
Wow.
And we're always arguing, those of us who have been damaged by the Christian church, we're always, talking about this and that don't make sense.
Mm,
And this is the first time in my experience where I have an actual scholar show direct proof, or at least proof that resonates to me. I can see how some people might think that this is not proof,
right.
But for me, it's proof, that they believed this thing, and then they went to Constantinople, decided that they were trying to control this, that, and the other, and so chose only the books that would corroborate the story that they wanted to tell.
Right. Right.
That is so, I don't know, it's deep to me. And it's just like, I
Were
be
you reading
worrying
from the
about my
book?
Christian people.
Were you reading from the book of the Yogi book? Is
Yeah,
that the
that's
Yogi book?
Autobiography of a Yogi. Yeah, that was written by Paramahansa Yogananda. And what's really deep? I love this
Wow.
stuff. And I've done a little bit of research to confirm that that when Yogananda died, his
Uh-huh.
body didn't deteriorate for over 30 days.
Mm. Mm.
And the belief is that, everybody is not like that. Every ascended master is not like that,
Hmm.
but that happened for him because that was spirit's way of trying to show the West that the things that he was talking about are true.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did find a notarized statement signed by the director of Forest Lawn Memorial Park, which is where he's buried. And it
Mm-hmm.
said no physical disintegration was visible in his body even 20 days after death.
Mm.
This state of perfect preservation of a body is, so far as we know from mortuary annals, an unparalleled one. Yogananda's
Mm.
body was apparently in a phenomenal state of immutability.
Wow.
So to me, if
Yeah.
somebody who died and their body didn't deteriorate says something, I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the conversation with Shock and Raw, even though we didn't really get to talk a lot about the election stuff and predictions and stuff like that, which I think would have been a very interesting conversation as well. A lot of the feedback that people were saying was that it was a powerful conversation, you know,
Yeah, no,
that
lots of people liked it.
yeah, it was speaking to them, it was speaking to them, so these topics are really important. And with me, as I've shared with our viewers, share with you, I've transcended religion. It doesn't mean I don't believe in religion. I've just moved beyond religion. And in principles, unpacking that, what does that mean? In principle, I have nothing against religion. In principle, for us to gather together around some mutual belief in deity, to have some type of mutual belief in divinity, that's natural. That's going to happen. That's happened from the beginning, and it's going to keep happening to the end. You can't stop that. It's a part of who we are. The challenge is exactly what you just said. When people get together and start deciding that, oh, people should not know this because we're going to influence their behavior to go in this direction. Oh, people should not know this because we want to influence them to move in that direction. So when religion becomes a system of control, which unfortunately a lot of systems have become systems of control, now you got problems,
Yeah.
right? Now you got problems. One thing that I love about what the Buddhists share, which I've adopted, is they have in there if their beliefs are subject to new information. Their beliefs are
Mm.
subject to change based upon new information, right? I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not all wrapped up in that faith. I don't know how they play that out, okay? But it is there. We're subject to changing our beliefs, modifying our beliefs based upon new information that comes in, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean,
Buddhists,
science is proving so much, and they
so
are
much.
so skeptical. But for science at this point to be able to prove that in many ways matter responds to our expectations,
Right,
for science to be able to prove that, I feel like definitely once science is saying something along those lines, we probably want to look at the text and the information that we're sharing with people and begin to adapt it so that it is more in alignment with what we know at this time. So
right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Manini Radha, she said that the Bible is like Cliff Notes.
Mm.
What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so much that has been, taken out of it, right? And that's one of the main challenges when I talk about transcending religion. Like I believe in God, the universe, spirit, they, et cetera, et cetera. I look at myself as a child of God, as a spiritual being, as a little God, if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, the challenge with Christianity, what I had to move beyond is that they are the 100% authority on God, right? And that's
Mm,
the problem with religions. They grow to this point of, oh, we're the 100% authority on God. And so the Bible in so many ways has been tailored to that concept, to the concept
mm,
of, oh wait, let's not include this, not let's include that. This is the absolute, right? When you go to seminary school, some of them make their students commit that the Bible is the 100% authority and it's error free.
mm.
And so that you build this whole theology, right? That this is it starts at Genesis and it ends in Revelations, and that's it. And then then you start seminary school and they tell you the Bible's not even in order.
Oh
That
no.
it's not even in order. The order that it's in is the order that they decide to put it in. It is not historical order.
Oh,
You can
interesting.
you can buy Bibles that have books in historical order, and the books are all mixed up. It makes it
Oh,
hard to
interesting.
follow. It makes
Yeah,
it
yeah,
hard to
yeah.
follow. The first book of the Bible, I believe, is Job. I think it's Job or they might put the first verse in John. But the Bible that we have, the modern traditional Bible we have, it's not even in historical order.
Got you. Deep. Yeah, I don't know enough about the Bible to have an opinion, which is why I wanted to ask you because I know you know a lot more than I do. Um, but fair enough. So, Stepping Out of Babylon says 3D is only visible when we look upon someone. That's the foundation of quantum physics. Everything is in motion at all times, which is true. In other words, when we're looking at something and it looks like a particle. But when we're
Mm-hmm.
not looking at it, when we don't have an expected vision, then that thing is actually a wave, so
Yeah, absolutely. It's a wave. It's a projection. That energy is going into the future. And I remember your story when you were talking about you were doing readings and you were going to do some readings and you decide to have a positive approach to that, a positive mindset to that, and you believe, as I understood it, that it impacted the results, right?
mm,
Which gets back into that, that prediction that our energy is a wave. Our energy goes before us. Our energy is impacting our future. Our energy is impacting everything
around us.
around us, right? And I think, again, when it comes to, spirit, when we're talking about who is going to win the election, okay, those are questions you can ask. But I think, again, is the question is, if Spirit says, if this person wins, which one is going to be the best person so people can learn their life lessons?
Mm,
As opposed to which one's going to win because that's what people want.
right,
Right.
right.
So when I was, hoping for who's going to win, yeah, I did get behind Kamala. I wanted her to win, but I had major reservations about the Democratic Party, okay? And my prayer wasn't make her win. My prayer was I pray for the best outcome for our people. And I wonder, did we get the best outcome? Meaning that because we got this outcome of someone that challenges democracy, we're challenged now. If we had
Mm,
voted for Kamala, it would just been, well, let's just hope for the best. Let's just hope they'll do well by us, even though the Democrat Party has not been responding to people and responding to what people want for years, for decades, right? People don't want these wars,
Right.
right? But where are we at? War, right? So now we got the default choice, right? Because it wasn't because a whole bunch of people came out and voted for him. It's because a whole bunch of people did not come out and vote for Kamala like they voted for Joe,
Yeah.
right? So we got the default choice, and now this default choice is challenging us. We're going to see exactly where we stand and where we decide to stand on various issues because we're being challenged.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting since you bring up war. I don't know, have you ever read the Quran?
Yeah, I'm not very well versed in it, but absolutely yes. And I've been
Yeah.
gifted a Quran. Bad on me for misplacing it.
Yeah, I did Ramadan, I think in the summer of 2012, and I actually um read, the prescribed readings every day for all of Ramadan, which gets you through the entire book. So I read it once all the way through, which of course does not make me anything near a person who knows much. And right now I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita for the
Mm,
first time. And
wow.
it is, it begins with Arjuna, the protagonist, if you want to say something like that in a spiritual text, is at war with his brother to a certain extent. And it's just interesting to me that and again, I am not any kind of an Islamic scholar by any stretch of the imagination. But what I do remember of that, like one and a half or so readings, is that there's a lot of war in there.
Hmm.
Do you have an opinion? Like, why do you think that these grand spiritual texts are, have so much war in them?
Man, wow. And that gives back to spiritual warfare, and the Bible is big on that too. The Bible's big on that too. So are the Egyptians, right? If we go back to the Egyptians, there's Seth and someone in the
Horus?
chat might remember the other brother, but one is ruling by day and the other one is ruling by night, and
Okay.
that they're warring against each other.
Mm.
The Bible talks about how Satan tried to take over heaven, and God kicked Satan out of heaven. And where did he kick him to? Earth.
Right.
So apparently, right, according to the Christian perspective, the devil, the Satan, is running around the world making war against the children of God.
Yeah. That's
So,
essentially what stepping out of Babylon is saying. That makes sense.
right. So there's this major cosmic battle, spiritual battle that is happening, and from a lot of different religions say that there's a cosmic war that's happening in the background, right? That's why we struggle. Right? Christians say we struggle between, we have a demon on this side and an angel on this side, and the angel's telling us to do this, and the demon's trying to do this, because there's a fight for our soul. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that, or what we see is that there is this belief of a spiritual war going on, and that there is a manifestation of that in the physical. I believe that there are good forces, there are evil forces, there are good spiritual forces, there are evil spiritual forces, and I do believe that there is some type of war, some type of struggle over our soul.
Mm.
Okay, there is some type of struggle over our soul, and speaking to our last show with Shock and Raw, one of the things that I said was, one belief, one theory that I have is that we are souls traveling through space and time.
Mm-hmm.
God planted us, quote unquote, the universe source planted us, even our higher selves planted us here on earth for a purpose, for a reason. You called it spiritual school, right? We're a spirit school. And through this spirit school, we're going to go through challenges.
Right.
And there's something here, there's forces against us, if you want to call it the devil or whatever, there's forces against us that are trying to oppress us and keep us from knowing who we are.
Right.
And then there's guides that are trying to help us understand who we really are.
Help us remember.
Help us remember, right? And I think, and this is the challenge I have with Christianity. In the Bible, it says we're against divination. Okay, even though in the New Testament, the disciples used divination to
Mm,
decide which disciple would replace Judas, who betrayed Christ.
interesting.
Right? And Christians try to say, "Oh, that's not divination," or "Oh, that was some type of old practice." That is straight up divination.
Right.
If you
Deep.
you read it, it's straight up divination. Not only did they do it, they did it right after Christ ascended. I mean,
Mm,
right after. And I think that Christ, in his foresight, would have said, "You know what? I'm getting ready to go to heaven. I've told them all these things. You know what? They're about to do that divination. Let me remind them, don't do divination." If that really was an issue, it's not an issue. But divination, my point is this: divination is a tool that has been given to us by source to help our souls find out where we are
who we
in
are.
space, who we are and where we are,
Yeah.
right? Who
I
we
mean,
are and where we are
right.
in space and time.
And is it possible? Like, I think of this angel demon thing that you were talking about as, to me, the devil, which for me is strong language, but
Very strong.
is the material world and the distraction, the way that we get distracted from remembering that we are a spiritual being having a human experience. To me,
Hmm.
the devil is just the material world, or the way that we are distracted from our spirit, by the material.
Hmm.
And the angel is our higher self, which is trying to help us, remember that we are these spiritual beings, that we chose to be here, that there is, a reason why we're here and why we have gone through and are going through the things that we're going through. And this is just real quick for the One Love Below. And I think she and I should have a conversation about this one day. But just to add on to the discussion that we had with Shechem last week, where I was saying that we do choose our parents, you know, I just wanted to add to that. And maybe it's not the best analogy, but perhaps it might be helpful to think of it as going to the gym.
Hmm.
Picking an easy childhood is deciding to use light weights. Picking a heavy, a hard ass childhood is deciding to use those heavy weights and
Hmm.
really, grow a lot more,
Right.
than those who have the easier time of it. So I just wanted to put out there and see if maybe that metaphor is at all helpful, with no expectation, of course.
Hmm.
Let's see what stepping out of Babylon is saying. Oh, that's what we already looked at that. Forces of good over evil, all its manifestations, which is war. So yeah, it's really interesting. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is actually, so the Lord is
Hmm.
actually Arjuna's charioteer. He is driving Arjuna's war car. And he's doing that because, he was disguised, of course, but he went to the other side and tried to give them every opportunity to do right and avoid this war.
Mm.
And they refused. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and go over there and fight, with these people. And at one point, because Arjuna is such a kind heart or good person, he, right before the war is about to start, he talks to Krishna and he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to kill my family. I would rather die because I know you. And so, I've done the work. I'm good. I don't need to be here anymore. And Krishna was like, no, that is not true. Everybody is going to die, and we need the best people to stay. So, though I hear you and I understand why you don't want to kill your family members, as a person who does know God, you have to be prepared to fight for what's right.
Mm.
It's interesting stuff. And I'm sitting here,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
what took you so
intense.
long?
It's intense.
Yeah.
I do believe there is some type of spiritual war going on in the background. I do believe there's some type of cosmic battle going on in the background. We're seeing aspects of that. There's a lot of ancient text. The Sumerians, in their records, there is, weapons that are being used that sound like something out of Star Wars.
Mm,
Now that's a physical manifestation, you know, but some things that we call spiritual actually may be physical, you know.
mm,
That there's things in the Bible, we call them spiritual when we talk about the devil making warfare, but in the Bible there's a lot of things that come forward that are definitely physical. They're
mm.
physical. So there is some type of interplay. There is some type of transference from the physical to the spiritual and the spiritual to the physical. So certainly there's some war on the physical. There's some kind of war happening on the spiritual realm um, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Let's see. Stepping out of Babylon says, it's how we choose to use the material as well. We can use it for destructive or upliftment of ourselves and others. Yeah, and that's probably all the case. Same thing with weapons, tools. It all just depends on the person who's using it or wielding it. Yeah, and I'm just having this thought right now, which is kind of out of place, but it's just something that's been heavy on my heart since, quote unquote Thanksgiving, which I call Thanksgiving or Indigenous Peoples Day at best. But I saw Indigenous people, and one in particular made this post that reportedly included some text from letters that were written by the white folks who killed the Native American people that made Thanksgiving a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And in those letters, they're talking about how we snatched the babies from their mothers and chopped them up with our sword or threw them in the water. And it's just like, damn, like it just bugs me out because it's one thing to get caught up. Like if you've ever been to like even a football game, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's easy to feel that mob mentality taking over. So it's
Sure.
one thing to do some crazy shit, and it's a whole nother thing to be okay with writing about it as if it's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on in that person? And in the Bhagavad Gita, they say that once the spirit is exposed to the material realm, then what was previously a natural love of God turns into different types of lust.
Mm.
And unfulfilled
Mm.
lust turns into wrath.
Mm.
And that wrath, if it's allowed to persist long enough, will eventually, make people crazy. And I'm just
Mm.
like, damn, is that what that is? Like, these people are so, and therefore the problem with these crazy folks is the divide between their love of God or their distraction from the love of God. Essentially, they once had a love for God that has been
Mhm.
replaced for something else by something else, and it's
Right.
driving them crazy. And I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And would you look at that as spirits behind them, driving them to do things when they're surrendering themselves over to something? You think that's a possibility?
you mean the people who are killing folks for no
Yeah, that
reason?
that people are that are going crazy, that are given to their lust. Do you think that those people can be driven, influenced, or possessed by evil spirits?
Oh, well, yeah, but for me, the evil spirit is their mind, or you know, to me, for the most part, I do know, or no, I don't know. Let me become correct. I believe that there are archons and some of these dark energies. This one psychic that I love, archons is her phrase for all darkness that is truly disembodied. So I
Hmm.
do believe that there is darkness out there intentionally causing problems,
Right.
but I don't think that the average person has to deal with that darkness. I think that the average human,
Hmm.
that all of their darkness, all of their demons, all of their devils come from within themselves and are the
Mm.
result of their choices and the way that they live their lives. But that is an opinion. I would not
Right.
try to get anybody else to, believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, they are being driven by something dark, but I just think it's an aspect of them. I don't think that it is necessarily the devil or,
Right.
whatever. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I certainly believe that there's spiritual forces that and spiritual beings that are demonic, and we can open ourselves up to those situations,
Yeah.
that can, put us in problems. I think part of the challenge there is mental health, in that people who are schizophrenic. I know the shooter in Boulder at the grocery store
Mm.
was saying that he killed these people because he was listening to voices
Oh,
that were
interesting.
saying to hurt
To
these
do that.
people, and
Okay.
so then the question becomes, do these voices emanate, from him, or do they emanate from someone else? I think that, with what you're saying, I think that some of these voices certainly can emanate. I'm sure some of the voices did emanate, but I think it's also a great possibility that he was listening to uh, demonic forces, whether they're thought forms or whether they're actual beings, that led him to, do damage. And the challenge that we have is, are we going to give our power away, or are we going to take hold of our power
Yeah.
and move forward in life?
Right.
Because we're responsible. We're responsible for our actions. We're responsible if we're going to allow good benevolent spirits move us forward, or malevolent spirits move us backwards,
Yeah.
in our walk of karma, in this journey of life.
Yeah. And I actually want to amend what I'm saying, what I just said. Because there is this psychic Carrie K that I like to watch on YouTube, and she says that the archons feed on the darkness, the
Mm,
fear, mostly fear, but the fear, the rage, the other emotions that sometimes get out of control. And so, whether someone is encouraging you to do a thing, something is encouraging you to do a thing or not, I guess it might be a semantics, because
mm-hmm,
it is likely that whether they're encouraging you or not,
mm-hmm,
they probably are enjoying taking in the energy that is
mm.
being put out as you are doing these things. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is possession of sorts.
Well,
Um,
it could be either or. I mean,
yeah,
it can be both. I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be either or because we're all. I mean, even. I mean, many of us are not. I mean, we're not possessed by an evil spirit, but we're influenced by by different things within ourselves.
yeah. I mean, our mental issues, the traumas that we had in
Right.
life, are
Right.
definitely coloring the way that we see the world. Like even just people who are angry, in traffic, or angry at work, or just angry, especially in a case where there's not really anything to be angry for.
Hmm.
To me, a lot of that, and that's why, I had kind of stopped, promoting and stuff, but Spirit is really like, you need to get back out there with this coaching stuff. Um, because people are bugging the fuck out. And the reason why most of these people are bugging the fuck out is because they're not happy.
Hmm.
So it's now getting to be really important that if you have a skill that can help a person figure out how to live a better life, you probably want to use it, because people who are
Hmm.
not happy are behaving worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Word up. Well, I want to take a real serious left turn before we get into the reading.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure where I was when I came up with this question. I know it is something that I think is important anywhere where we are trying to build community. But for some reason, I have written down, um, what do you think of the idea that there are absolutely no secrets in a healthy tribe?
I I have a different perspective.
Okay,
I,
let's
I have
hear
a
it.
different perspective, and this yeah. I think that we're all perfect in the essence of who we are, the spiritual being of who we are. I
Okay.
believe that God, the universe, they created us perfectly. But I don't believe that we do things perfectly. We don't do everything perfectly. So we do make mistakes. We do make errors. And 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 everybody doesn't need to know your mistake. Everyone doesn't need to know your error. Everyone's not mature enough for certain information, and that can be a slippery slope in terms of if this person should know this or this person should know that. Okay. But I'll take being in a place of leadership in an organization. There's some things that as a leader you cannot share with the people they're following. There's some
Woo,
doubts. You're going to have some doubts.
woo, that's
You're going to
big.
have
That's
some
hard for
doubts. You're going to
me.
have some fear. You're going to have some doubts. You're going to have some fears that you cannot share with the people who are following you, because that can have a negative impact upon upon the direction of the organization. It goes back to what Shechem Ra was saying, which I love his take on emotions are powers and emotions are contagious, right? We
Yeah.
know psychologically emotions are contagious. So I might be feeling a certain kind of way, but is it going to help me to share that with a total stranger that on any given day?
Well,
Is it
I mean,
even
a
going
total stranger is
to, or
not in your tribe.
even, okay, true, but even with your um intimate relationships, there's some things that are not going to benefit us to share with them, and that's a
Yeah.
slippery slope because you don't want to hold everything in,
Right.
okay, but you don't want to put everything out either.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the relationship and what these emotions about, and if you're determined that you have to sit back and feel them. Because my idea, or the
Hmm.
first thing that comes up, especially when you're talking about your significant other,
Yeah.
is, sometimes we do just need to feel the things. And probably in that case, I'm just going to be like, hey, babe, I'm in a very emotional place. And so I'm going to the woman cave. I don't need you to fix this. Just let me feel these feelings and get them out.
Right.
But again, because emotions are contagious, who's not to say that my partner's positivity can't pull me up out of my darkness?
Sure,
You know?
absolutely, absolutely. But this comes back to the ego. It's a slippery slope, but the ego is here to protect us, okay? Because we want to know if environment is safe. So if we take it back to a biblical example, hey Janice, if we take it to a biblical example, it says that when the two get married, the two become one.
Okay.
Now, when I have coached, counseled, talked to people, being married, and I've had people say to me, "Well, shouldn't my shouldn't I have access to my wife's phone?" And
Ooh.
or the wife saying, "Should I have access to my husband's phone? Should I have access to this account? Should I have access to that account?" Well, I say that, hey, in the Bible, it says the two shall become one. It didn't say the
Mm,
two are one. It says the two shall become one. So what is the becoming process? In my view, that becoming process is levels of trust.
I say,
This, I've been dating you for 6 months. I have this level of trust. We've been dating for a year. We have this level of trust. I've been married to you for 2 years. I got this level of trust. I've been married to you for 10 years. I have this level of trust. And as we move through the levels of trust, I can share more secrets with you.
yeah,
So that's
that's
a
deep.
social process.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It makes me nervous. And, to each his own. I feel like it is important for me to be the type of leader that I am. You know what? There are, as I was about to say that I feel like I want to be transparent, but God checked me real quick and made me think about some of the things that I don't tell my son. So let me, not lie on myself. And so maybe there are some things that are hard to share. But actually, let me shout out some folks in the chat real quick. Everyone, please follow my brother, Cultural Chronicles, wonderful, wonderful historian, educator, roots and reggae DJ, dancer. The way he be playing those songs and marching is so regal. Definitely check him out. Shout out to my queen sister, Janice BR. Everyone, please follow Janice BR. My brother DJ J Jonah was in here a little bit earlier. Everyone, please follow DJ J Jonah. Wonderful, wonderful graphics, wonderful, wonderful music in general, but especially like his house music selections are crazy. So please check out Jay Jonah. I'm not sure. I'm just going to shout out everyone that I remember real quick. Shout out to my sister Stepping Out of Babylon. She says she's not set up for streaming, but she is down and it doesn't take anything to use StreamYard. So perhaps I will get to talk to her one of these Catch a Fire Fridays soon. I'm looking forward to that. Stepping Out of Babylon. Of course, shout out to my sisters. The One Love Below, Yurdiverse, and Wise Up. Everyone, please follow Wise Up. Wise Up will be playing, I'm sure, a wonderful and eclectic set tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So please look forward to that. So my last spin on that question, though, is because the way that you're talking about being leader and people following you
Mm-hmm.
is very hierarchical.
Yes.
And a lot of people are saying, and I agree because I feel like we see it falling down,
Mm-hmm.
that one of the things that is falling down is hierarchy. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens when there is no leader in the tribe? All
Mm-hmm.
of the adults of a certain age are considered equal. In
Mm-hmm.
that case, is it important to be transparent, or what do you think about that? What do you think about even the possibility of no hierarchy?
I think that I think that absolutely there are structures. There are structures where there's no hierarchy, and their studies have been shown that women tend to naturally move by consensus. They typically don't have this hierarchical structure, whereas men, they typically do. They do have their hierarchical structure. I think that there's a balance between, I think different structures are for different things. And I
Mm,
think, so I think there's a place for hierarchy. I think there's a place for consensus. I think that both can be abused and misused. One
mm,
of the root, I think real getting further down, one of the challenges is, do we know how to develop trust?
mm.
If we don't know how to develop trust, then can we really be transparent?
Well, yeah, no, probably not, but likely, well, absolutely not. But I don't think that you have a tribe if there's not trust. And that's
Right,
why I'm
right. And
using
so,
that
right. So
language.
we, exactly. So to have a tribe, we need trust. How many of us are good at developing trust?
Right. Well, I mean, and that to me, that is definitely the work that we all need to do, because in my opinion, a lot of the lack of trust is really just a lack of self love. And I feel like this is all part and parcel of the same, mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me, right, the two most important things in life are figuring out how to love yourself and knowing how to grow some kind of food, you know. And that figuring out how to love yourself, it's not an easy thing. There are certain people who are maybe born there, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like the most of the people that I know don't exist there. And that is the work, because I do think that we are going to need much stronger tribes and communities to survive going forward than we have
Right.
needed in the last 30, 40 years or so. And so to me, the first step is self-love, because I am not going to, if I don't love myself, I don't trust myself. And if I don't trust myself, I can't trust anybody else. So I hear
Right.
you when you say that it is hard to, who's good at developing trust. It is hard work, but it is the point. And that's why I'm
Yes.
always telling people in every organization or anything that I get involved in, I'm like, it's dope that we have this goal, we have this vision, this thing that we want to create. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in addition to the steps that we're going to take to achieve this goal, we need to figure out what our healing cycles are going to be like. What are we going to do together to heal and keep healing?
Right.
because it's locked, in my opinion, every organization, except for maybe the big money ones where the focus is clearly money and fuck everything else. Outside of those organizations, I feel like you're it's always gonna break if healing is not taking place. At some point, somebody's unhealed pain body is gonna rub up against somebody else's, and the shit is gonna start to break apart. So to me,
Yeah.
as much as we want to build organizations, tribes, communities, whatever, to heal or fix certain problems in society, we also got to be healing together.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that's where talking about earlier where you are, where some people are, and where some people desire to get to is what's the work that's needed to get to those places,
Yeah,
and part of that work is healing, part of that work is trust, and I believe that in my view, people like yourself, people like me are some of those forerunners in those places of healing, in those places of trust. And we're doing what we can to help other people grow in those areas,
yeah,
grow in healing, grow in trust. Because you see, I see, we feel, me and the people in this community feel that we're going to need each other more and more in the future, right? Getting
yeah,
back to predictive, right?
right.
We sense trouble. We see trouble. And we saying, hey, we need tribe, and how are we going to get there? So we're doing this show, we're doing this program to talk to people about healing, talk to people about abundance, talk about people about how to resolve their karma and to move forward so we can build these tribes.
Yeah, Ashe. Ashe. Awesome. So that pretty much exhausts my question list. So I'm not sure how you are intending to do the reading today. I'm just going to let you take over from here.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. So I'm gonna put up.
Oh, 1 second. I want to talk to Culture Chronicles about this real quick. He says, I have been in many meetings of organizations of people wanting to do great things, but they didn't like each other. Um, and that doesn't say whether or not they were effective. I'm wondering if people who didn't like each other were still able to get the work done. Culture Chronicles. And while we wait for him, I'll let you talk again. Sorry, Professor X.
Okay, well, I'm gonna share my screen. Just gonna put up a few things for. Just gonna put up a few things for 2024 while I take a moment to set up here. And
Okay.
you're welcome to talk to some of those things if you like while I do my.
That's what I thought. Culture Chronicles says the planning, yes. The proper peaceful manifestation, no. Ashe, so I get it. And I love that we want to be professional. I think the dominant culture has tried to convince us to be professional. And I don't fuck with it because the way that being professional has showed up in my world, it means lying about your feelings. And I don't think that works. So it's dope to try,
Absolutely.
it's dope to try it, but please, as much as you have an issue that you want to resolve and people who want to help that you want to work with, be healing together, journal together, meditate together, pray together, do something more, talk to each other, talk about the painful aspects of your past, get that stuff off of your chest. It can't just be about the work. It's got to be about the healing and the work going forward. And shout out to my sister, Headphoniest Monk, in the place to be. So good to see you. Thank you so much for checking in. Happy new moon. Oh shit! Here comes Due West just in time for the reading with the jokes. Let's see how he's talking shit today. I see you have the leader of the X-Men up in here today, but I'm going to need his mind skull cap with the fools I'm going to be dealing with these next few years. Hilarious. Shout out to Due West, my comedian brother in the place to be. It is always wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for those biddies. And we'll see if Professor X is willing to lend you his cap. I think that it probably is going to cost more than 100 bits to use the Mind Skull cap. There we got Angel Numbers by Xavier up there. Due West, appreciate you so much, brother. Alrighty. So, brother, while Professor X is getting set up, I guess he's showing us some notes from the reading that he did for 2024, which was around this time last year. He said, number one, management of emotions and resources was going to be important. I remember that for sure, and I know that I've just said it, but there are certain things that I think beg to be repeated again and again and again until they become true, and so I'm compelled to say that when we're talking about the management of emotions, I feel like it's really important to make the distinction that, because I think a lot of people think managing their emotions means not letting them out. And that is absolutely not true, not healthy, becoming more and more and more unsafe every day. The management of emotions means getting them out in the appropriate place at the appropriate time with the appropriate people, and find those people. I believe in coaches, I believe in therapy, but I don't believe that everybody else has to believe in those things. I do think that one truly loving person, a person that you love and who loves you, can be a good enough accountability partner for you to find some healing and wholeness. So, but I do know that it's becoming damn near impossible to heal by yourself. Get some support. Don't try to hold everything in. I have an elder who I love to death, who she's committed to this idea that she has got to keep her own counsel. And her voice has gotten to the point where it literally hurts. Like, I don't even like to talk to her because the way her voice sounds, it hurts me, And to me, her deciding that she's going to keep her own counsel has completely broken her throat chakra. Like, you can't keep your own counsel. Get some help. And just jump in whenever, Professor X, what he's
I'm
got.
ready.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
ready. Okay. All right. And if you could magnify the screen, the
With the
card
cards.
screen. Yeah, if
Okay.
you can magnify the card screen, that would be great. Okay.
Uh-oh. I don't know that I can.
If you can put it there in the center.
I wonder if I can shift it that way. Why do I get to be big? There we go. Bam.
Okay. All right. There we go. That's what I've been looking for right there. Okay. All right. So this session, this reading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the theme of the year, and having a theme can sometimes be easier to hold on to for people in
And
terms
I'm
of.
just compelled to jump in real quick to let you know that it's 12:34. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 as you begin this reading.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We're taking steps forward.
Yes, Ashe.
Taking steps forward into the new year. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask everyone in the chat to choose a number. Choose a number between 1, 2, and 3. Choose a number between 1, 2, and 3.
3 for me.
3 for you. And this number is going to be just for you. This number is going to be just for you.
Hey, Sassy Peach. Thank you for taking good care of our brother, Professor X. Shout out to Sassy Peach in the chat. So we
Yes.
have.
Thank you, Sassy Peach. Brought me some water. Appreciate it.
So we got lots of 3s, 1, 1, and 1, 2.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so you're doing 3 different readings because you said everybody's number is for them.
Yes, I'm doing
Okay, so
3
you're doing
different
like
readings.
a pick a
Your
card
number
type.
is going to be unique just for you. Just for
Okay.
you. And we're going to, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to do 2 things. We're going to look at the theme of the year, and then we're going to look at a theme for your seasons every quarter. We'll see how far we get. And so 1, 2, or 3, whatever number resonates best with you. And so I developed, for anyone who's new or just as a kind of reminder, I developed a card reading system based upon angel number principles, the principles of angel numbers. And with the principles of angel numbers, you typically see there's been this worldwide phenomenon of seeing repeating numbers. And through those numbers, people are getting divine messages. All right, so let's see if we get a little bit closer here. Make it a little bit easier for people to see. All right. How's that? How well can you see that, Yuda? Okay. Oh, she done stepped away on us. All right. So with the reading for the year, I want to give you a spiritual forecast. So we want to talk about the theme for the year. And so the reading is based upon aspects of numerology and having the numbers represent certain meanings, and the pips or the symbols representing certain meanings as well. The face cards typically represent people or can represent energies. I'm first going to turn over the face cards, which represents zeros. Okay, those represents zeros. All right, and zero in the principle of angel numbers represents the God factor, the influence of God or guidance of God or guidance of spirit or the universe or source in our life. So one of the first themes that stick out for the year is purpose. Okay, spending time focusing on your purpose. So 9 represents purpose, and then clubs represents knowledge, ideas, or meditation. So if you chose number 1, this is the main theme of your year. Actually, let me take a step back. Before I say that, let me just say that this is one of the themes. This is one of the themes that is sticking out for the year. So the 9 clubs represents purpose, and we talked about clubs representing knowledge, ideas, or meditation. So one of the, see if people can see this well. So one of the purposes of this year, we have 900. That's where I'm getting that, the influence of the God factor on the 9. So with the 900, some people need to spend some time in this year. This year is about really getting some clarification on your purpose. All right. Now let's look at some of the other themes. We have you can look at this as 02 with the 2 of clubs. And we have 40. We have 40. 40 typically represents the end of hardship. And again, we talked about what clubs represents. Clubs representing purpose, knowledge, ideas. We talked about the 02. And the 02, 2 represents faith or balance. It also represents partnership. Okay. All right. So those are some of the themes that are popping up so far. We have purpose. We have some people that are seeking faith, balance, partnership. 40, the end of hardship. And let's see what else we have. We
Are those
have
like ideas 1, 2, and 3 for the folks who chose numbers, or you haven't gotten there yet?
haven't gotten there yet.
Fair enough.
Haven't gotten there yet. Almost there. So let's look at what else we have. We have 07, and I'm typically going across, I'm going down, and I'm going diagonal. Okay. So we have the 10 of hearts. We have the 10 of hearts here. We have 07. We have a 10 of clubs. And we have 70, and we have 90. All right, so for the sake of time, I'm not going to write down every single detail. I'm kind of going to summarize things for you. But we have the first thing that's popping up the most, as I suspected, are the 900 here, and then the 90 here, purpose. Okay. So the
And for
first,
you, what would be the difference between a 90 and an 09?
oh, and a 09.
Yeah.
So here, if there's the 90 is just a greater influence of the God factor. The 09 or here we have 900, but here we have 90.
Okay.
So here is a greater influence, greater
Got
guidance
you.
from God with the 9 of clubs as opposed to the 9 of hearts. So
Fair
this
enough.
is a greater dominance, but they
Got you.
fit in the same family that we have 9 appearing twice. Okay. So we have 9 appearing twice. So for me, that's a greater emphasis. So I'm not going to get into to the exact difference with the 9 of clubs and the 9 of hearts just yet. I'm going to come back to it. But if you're a number 1, the first theme that pops out for the year is purpose. This is really a time for people to begin to solidify their purpose. Last year was kind of experimentation and laying a foundation for purpose. We talked about building or laying a foundation for our next 10 years in discovering our purpose. Okay. So for some people, this year is really about walking in their purpose. And I'm going to come back to the hearts and the club. I'm going to do the number 2s now. Okay. All right. So the second theme that is popping up the most, let's see here, are the tens, the 10 of hearts and the 10 of clubs. Okay. So I'm skipping over the 0 and 02 and the 40 because I'm getting two tens here. All right. So next is 10 of hearts and the 10 of clubs. So if you are a number two,
I can see
then
that.
you are a 10 of hearts and a 10 of clubs. Okay. 10 represents a complete skill set, a complete skill set. Okay. So this represents the theme of your year for all the number twos. And then we're going to go to the number threes. The number threes, I have a 07 and I have a 70. So the next, if you're a number three, 07 or 70, and we have the clubs. 7 represents intuition, insight, wisdom, and it can also represent a complete set of spiritual skills. Okay, a complete set of spiritual skills. All right, so those are the three themes for the year. And now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. Okay, so if you chose a number one, okay, then this is a suggestion from Spirit. A suggestion from Spirit is that for your year, it would help you to focus on your purpose. And your purpose has to do with, this is hearts, 9 of hearts, has to do with your passion. Okay, so aligning your purpose to your passion. Okay, and to do that, you're going to need to build your knowledge base, because clubs is ideas, knowledge, and understanding. You need to build your knowledge base. Okay, so this is the year for you to align your purpose with your passion if you're a number one. Okay, if you are a number two, make this a little bit easier. If you're a number two, then you're a 10 of hearts or a 10 of you're a 10 of hearts and 10 of clubs. You have a complete skill set for pursuing your passion, and you need to build your knowledge base this year. Okay, so the year of having a complete skill set in pursuing my knowledge, pursuing my passion, and to get there, I'm going to need to build your knowledge base. Okay, you need to build your knowledge base. And you can personalize your theme for the year. I'm just giving you aspects. And the way that you go about developing your theme for the year is in what I'm sharing, what resonates with you. I may be providing some new information, but I'm also looking to provide information to you that already resonates with who you are. Okay. And then lastly, we have 70 and 07. 7, we talked about intuition, insight, wisdom, having a complete spiritual skill set. Okay. And then clubs representing knowledge, knowledge, ideas, or meditation. So for people who are number threes, you have a complete you have a complete spiritual skill set to move into this year, and you need to build your knowledge you need to build your knowledge in your area of spirituality so that you can move through this year and continue to build your wisdom and move through this year with intuition. Okay, so growing your knowledge base in your spiritual area. All right, so I would like to know, how well does that resonate with people on a scale of 1 to 10? If you're a number one, your purpose this year, the year of purpose, aligning your purpose with your passions, and that building your knowledge base is key. Having a complete skill set, the tens, having a complete skill set of pursuing your passions and building your knowledge base to get there. And then number three, the people who are spiritually gifted and are developing themselves, developing their intuition, they need to build their knowledge base. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if that resonates very well with you, then it would be a 10. If it doesn't resonate with you very well, it would be a 1. So go ahead and in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well does that resonate with you?
For me, as a 10, it resonates, and I can only smile because I'm doing that. The work, I don't know that I will ever actually apply to the arcane school, but I'm glad that I tried, and that they've given me this list of books to read, because I'm reading these books and they're blowing my mind and I love it. So I am already, I do feel like I have a complete set, but I am also learning more. And I've kicked up, I'm back to meditating an hour and a half a day.
Mm,
So I've increased both my studies and my meditation. And so I feel like that is
mm,
an exact alignment, with what you're saying. And stepping out of Babylon also gives it a 10, and she's also a 3. I think it's funny to the people who pick these. It just resonates with what I know of these people. And Janice BR, who was our number 2, um, is also giving it a 10. And I loved it, seeing that, because I do think, that she does have a complete skill set, and can really, should she decide to do so, to make music, like a more prominent part of her offerings in the world.
mm. Which
um
number did you pick, Yuta?
I picked me, Sassy Peach, and Stepping Out of Babylon picked 3. Headphonius, who doesn't speak up a lot, is one of my house shoes family. Pick number 1, and Janice BR picked number 2. So there's 3 number 3s, 1 1, and 1 2.
Wow. Okay. And you picked number 3.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay. I put some info up on the screen, Yuta, and from time to time, if you're able to put that back out there, I would appreciate it.
for sure. So yeah, definitely. It's in my opinion, it's really cool, because he does have a huge knowledge base, and not only does Professor X read cards, but he makes his money, he makes his living as a small business life coach. And so, I know that everybody is not going to ask for a reading, but if you are a business person, if you're thinking about starting a business and you need some help, this is definitely a wonderful opportunity to get some free business coaching.
Yeah, I definitely would love to, give you guys a free consultation around business coaching. I specialize, I'm the small business person's life coach. If you need help with life coaching, I've had a lot of success with helping people who've had mental health challenges as well. So if you're in that area, if that's been a challenge for you and you need assistance, support, someone who's been through some of those challenges, I can support you. There as well, and would love to do a first free session for you. Okay. All right. So fantastic. I'm very, very happy, very excited to know that that resonates with people. And now we're going to look at a season. Okay. We're going to look at a season. We're going to look at, this is the first quarter of the year. This is the second quarter of the year. This is the third quarter of the year. And this is the last quarter of the year. So this is January, February, and March. April, May, and June July, August, and September, October, November, and December. Okay. All right. Are there any questions come up about people's theme of the year? Yuda, any questions come up?
No, not in the chat anyway, and I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. All right. So now, again, this is a suggestion from Spirit as to what should be our focus for the year, because we can get into a place of meditation and we can take a moment to think about our year, or we might just say, oh, I just want to do something this year. And that might be spot on. You might be right in agreement with Spirit, or you might be, what, I'm not sure, where should I focus my energy? Should I focus on A, or should I focus on B? And so Spirit is here to say, hey, what's going to benefit you the most is to focus on A, or what's going to benefit you the most is to focus on B. And that's what we want to focus. That's what we want to get from Spirit today. That's what we're asking for Spirit to come in and give us guidance, give us direction as to what's going to benefit us the most this year with our energy. All right. So for season one, January, February, March, the question, one of these cards represents your theme for the season. So if you are number one, this represents your focus for the first quarter. If you're number two, this represents your focus for the next quarter, this coming quarter,
First
the first
quarter.
quarter of the year, January, February, March. If you are a number three, then this represents your focus for the first quarter of the year. Okay. All right. So now
Wow.
let's talk about what those represent. Well, we already talked about the the nine of hearts and clubs. We just have the nine of clubs. Okay. So what's really interesting is you see how each one of these are clubs,
Yeah.
and we see that clubs represents knowledge, ideas, meditation, okay, in my system. So all of us in this first quarter need to spend some time in meditation. And also that might go along with building our knowledge base as well. And also we also may need to entertain some new ideas as well. So we'll consider all those different things. So let's deal with the number ones first. So the number ones, this represents your focus for the next 3 months, January, February, and March. Okay. So walking in your purpose, we said that the annual theme for the number ones is walking in your purpose, aligning your passion with your purpose. So the first quarter of the year for you is time for you to build your knowledge base. Okay, build your knowledge base. That's where your focus should be for the first 3 months of the year. We said the number twos have a complete skill set for pursuing their passion. Okay. So what's their focus for the first season? Okay. So a jack, we have the jack, the king, and the queen. The jack is someone who's moving forward in power, but they're young, they're mature. Okay. So your skill set, the number twos, you need to further develop, go to an advanced part of advance your skills, focus on using your skills. So using your skills and advance using your skills for pursuing your passion. Okay. So focus on your skill set, focus on perfecting your skill set for pursuing your passions, perfecting your skill set, growing your skill set to pursue your passions. Okay. And then getting down to the intuitives. right? So you're very intuitive. To build your intuition, you need to build your knowledge base, right? That's your annual theme. But what do you need to do to move throughout this year? You're a two, partnership. Okay. So you need to partner with people. You need to make sure that you are living in a balanced way throughout this year. Okay. But you need to you need to build your partnerships, and you need to use or build your knowledge base. Okay. So this clubs for everyone is speaking to their knowledge base for this year. Okay. The number nines are building their knowledge to walk into their purpose. The jacks of clubs are using their complete skill set, and they're perfecting their skill set to align to walk into their passion. Okay.
And so
And
essentially that's practicing more. Is that what you would say?
it's part of it is practice. Part of it is perfecting your skill set and using your skill set.
Got
Use your
you.
skill set. Use your skill set to walk in your passions and perfect your skill set.
Got
Okay,
you.
perfect. You have the skill set, but now it's time to perfect it, to walk into your passions. Use it and perfect it, practice it. Okay. And the intuitives, you need to partner with people. You need to partner with people that are going to help you build your skill set.
Yeah.
Okay. Partner with people that are going to help you build your skill set. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is the first quarter of the year. All right. How we doing?
Resonates with me. Resonate everything.
Okay, fantastic. Let me know, people, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well does that resonate with you? If it's a 10, it resonates with you very well. If it's a 1, it doesn't resonate with you too well. Okay. I would love for it to resonate with you, but it doesn't have to. This is just a suggestion from spirit as to what would most benefit you for the first quarter of the year. Okay. All right. Now, as people are doing that, I'm going to start moving to the second quarter. Second quarter is January, excuse me, we have January, February, March. We have April, May, and June. Okay. All right. So for April, May, and June, this is number 1, this is number 2, and that's number 3. Okay. So number 1 is foundation. Number 4 is foundation. Okay, so the 9 of clubs for your first season of the year, as you're walking in your purpose, as you're getting into alignment with your passion, you need to start establishing a solid foundation in your knowledge base. So if you do the work here, you're going to have a solid foundation here. Okay, this is going to be the result of the work that you're doing in the first quarter. For the number 2s, the result here, Jack of clubs to the Queen of clubs. The Queen represents maturity in terms of a hierarchy. Jack the clubs. So if you do the work here, you're going to mature. You're going to grow in this area. Okay. For the number 3s, with your partnership, it's going to require some faith as well. The 2 is faith, and 2 is also balance. So having good balanced partnerships to build your knowledge base, what's the result of that? The result of that is you're going to come closer to walking into your passion. You're going to become closer to having a complete skill set to walk into your passion. Okay, so number 2, partnerships is the gateway to walking into your passion, having a complete skill set to walk into your passion.
Ashe.
Okay. All right. So if that resonates with you, again, a
10.
number, if that resonates with you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 resonates, 1 doesn't resonate well. Okay, so I give everyone the opportunity to let me know if it resonates with you.
10 for me. 10 for me.
Fantastic. All right,
Stepping out
now
of Babylon says 11.
moving into the third quarter. 11. Oh my goodness. Okay, now as we move into the third quarter and the fourth quarter, I'm not sure how well this will resonate with you or not. It's because we're getting into the year. I mean, this is, who knows, but we'll see. Maybe spirit, maybe there's something in your heart that you know you need to work on, that spirit will tell us about for the last two quarters of the year. So the last quarter of the year, we have January, February, March, April, May, June. We have July, August, and June, July, August. June, July, and August. Okay. So here we're entering the summer months, June, July,
No,
and
it's July,
August. All
August,
right.
September.
Oh, July, August, September.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. July, August, September. Thank you very much. Okay. So July, August, September. Okay. Now, so we have that the annual theme for the Nine of Hearts and Clubs, the number ones aligning their purpose with their passion. Okay, so growing their knowledge base, and then establishing a solid foundation. Now this is where their abundance is going to begin to flow into their life. Okay, so from doing the work in first quarter and second quarter, the third quarter is where you can expect financial abundance to start coming in for you to pursue your purpose, okay, and reach your goals for the year. Okay, for the number twos, having a complete skill set to walk into their passions. They need to build their knowledge base. They're going to mature from the seven of clubs to the jack of clubs to the queen of clubs. So they're going to grow in maturity with their knowledge base this year. And then they're going to move into a place where their intuition is going to begin to come in a more abundant way. Okay. So the third quarter of the year, this is going to be where you're going to grow in your intuition. This is where you're going to grow in starting having mastery and understanding of your knowledge base. Okay. And then for the number threes, we have a 10 of clubs. Okay. So here you're going to find that as you move into the third quarter of the year, you're going to feel as though you have a complete set of understanding of this new knowledge you've been new knowledge that you've been gaining. Okay. So this is a great year for the sevens in building their intuition. They got to add knowledge to their intuition. They got to have partnerships, people that's going to help them build their knowledge base. Okay. And this new knowledge that they come into, they're going to start feeling very comfortable about it in the third quarter of the year. Okay. They're going to feel very comfortable about their new skill set, about the new knowledge they have in the third quarter of the year. All right. All right. So now I'm just going to let you sit on that for a moment, let people meditate on that for a moment. You don't have to share a number unless you feel like, maybe a comment might be more appropriate, right? How do you feel about your growth, or what spirit is suggesting to you for the third quarter year, the results of the work of the first two quarters? About that, how you feel about that?
It makes a lot of sense. You know, everything that has been coming at me um lately is very much about it's time to connect. And like I was saying earlier, I believe that healing happens in community. There is a lot of work that we need to do by ourselves. There's a lot of meditation, there's a lot of study that you can't necessarily do in a group. But once you reach a certain level, you got to get out there. Or I feel like I have to get out there and I have to connect with people in order, because to me, the whole point of this work and this healing is to have harmonious relationships. And so I've been getting a lot of messages that you've done the work, now get out there and connect with the people. And so that first quarter with people makes sense. The people leading me more into my passion or heart. And I think that that could even just be love, finding a sense of completion in those relationships that started in the first quarter, and then by the third quarter, having the knowledge that I've been acquiring between now and that third quarter, feeling grounded and mastery is probably not necessarily the right word, but believing and being able to use the things that I've been learning between now and then totally makes sense.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, and now we're moving into the last quarter of the years. We have October, November, and December. Okay. So what's interesting here with the number one, we have a four clubs, and then we have another four clubs. Okay.
That's deep to me.
We talked about that the number ones, this is the year of you aligning your passion with your purpose. We talked about growing in knowledge. We talked about establishing knowledge as a foundation. Okay. So as you wrap up the end of the year, here we talked about the third quarter that this is going to produce finances for you. This is going to produce resources for you. Okay. So there's going to be a season of you producing financial resources, and then you need to revisit what's working well for you. You need to revisit the foundation of what produced this wealth. Okay. Produce financial wealth, produce resources. Okay. So you're going to establish a solid foundation. It's going to produce something for you. And then you need to reflect on that. Reflect on your foundation that produced these resources.
Excuse me.
For the for absolutely. So for the Jack of Clubs, growing in your maturity, growing in your intuition, and then this is opportunity. We talked about your annual theme, aligning your having a complete skill set to pursue your passion. Okay. At the end of the year, from the work that you're doing, you're going to be able to begin to walk into your passion. Okay, so the number twos, it's going to be important for you to be patient this year. Okay, because a lot of what you desire to do is not going to happen towards the end of the year. Okay, and then for the number threes, we talked about to grow your intuition, you need to add your knowledge base. To another way to say it is to know what you need to do in the future. You're going to need to grow your knowledge base. We said to grow your knowledge base, you're going to need to partner with people. You need to make sure that you are walking into this year in a balanced way, that you need to have some faith, okay, moving into this year, and that you're going to be able to gain a complete skill set for pursuing your passion. You're going to be able to have a complete skill set as far as your knowledge base, right? You're building knowledge here in partnerships. You're going to be content with the knowledge base that you have. And with that contentment, what can you do with it? You can produce.
Get money.
Get money. Okay. So again, it's going the threes are going to need to be a little patient with the process. It's going to be a benefit to be patient with the process, because they have partnerships to build. They're going to come into better alignment with their passions. Okay, they're going to have a complete skill set, feel confident about that complete skill set, and then towards the end of the year, they're going to be able to produce with that skill set. They're going to be able to produce with coming into alignment with their passion. Okay, and that closes out the fourth quarter of the year.
Nice, nice. Then I just got a compulsion to check out my cardiology chart to see um how my cardiology chart resonates with what you are offering. But feel free to talk while I'm looking. If there's anything left to say, that is.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about a wrap. And overall, I would love to any comments that people have, or if they want to share another overall, how does it resonate with you? You again, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 resonates with you very well. On a 1, does it resonate with you well at all? So any feedback would be greatly appreciated. And if you're interested in a coaching session, life coaching, business coaching, if you'd like to have a reading, I'd love to offer you one free session, and then we can go from there. And I share my information above, so if you just scroll through the chat, you can find it there.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for this reading, Professor X. And I love how you decided to do it, because it seems like you have been like adding cards, adding tools, different ways to get different types of messages. And it's like you paired it all back, to do this year-long thing. And I feel like it's the perfect way to kind of relatively quickly get out some information for the entire year. I don't know if you noticed, but there is another new moon on
Yeah.
in December. So this is a rare month, where you
Yeah.
have 2 new moons.
Yeah. Rare month.
Yeah.
I did.
Um,
I did.
awesome. Well,
Yeah, it's
I
coming
think
toward it's on the 30th, isn't it?
yeah, but it's late on the 30th. So if you wanted to do something, if you're available, definitely no pressure. But if you wanted to do something, it would probably be on, I think that's Tuesday, the 31st, which is New Year's Eve. So I get it if you're not, if your family's not having that. But
Right. Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, Sassy Peach, the wifey, her birthday's the next day, and we're gonna be doing some traveling. So
nice.
probably will not be. I probably will not be available.
Awesome. Well, y'all have all the fun. I want to thank you again for this. It looks like Sunday afternoon, most folks are lurking, maybe cooking some food or cleaning the house or whatever. So I think I will just look for somebody to raid, and we can go ahead and call it a day. I'm grateful. I love this reading. It totally resonates, and I'm super excited.
Wonderful.
Yes, to be going through this. Let's see. Who we gonna raid? Who we gonna raid? Oh, Whirlwind Dreamer is on. I think I've raided her a lot on Sunday, but I might do it again because she is definitely one of my favorite DJs. Beautiful, beautiful indigenous sister in the Northwest. Um, DJ Gemini is on. Krish 11. Oh, Krish 11. I'm going to go to Krish 11 because it looks like she is doing more new moon stuff, and I've been hoping to catch her and haven't been able to. This girl, Xtina, is building with Legos. So I don't know if there are people back in the chat who have a and DJ Nita Dawn. So my three options. DJ Nita Dawn is playing music. This girl Xtina is basically doing an art stream. It looks like she's creating some. Oh, she's creating a mixer out of Legos. And then Chris 11 is doing some sort of new moon ritual. So I don't know if anybody has any interest in any one of those things. Thank you, Janice BR. Always wonderful to see you. Everyone, please follow my sister Janice BR. Please follow Wise Up. My little sis Wise Up will be live at 7 Eastern time, and it doesn't look like anybody is really interested or has a choice. I'm gonna go to this girl, Xtina, just because I don't think she, or at least I'm not seeing her on very much. Awesome. So we have about 90 seconds before we land in Boston at my girl, this girl, Xtina's channel. Please stick around for the raid and maybe at least say hi before going about the rest of your Sunday. I really appreciate all of y'all's time and attention. Shout out to my sister stepping out of Babylon. She says, many thanks, Yuta and Professor. Plenty food for thought, work to do, goals to conquer. Blessings all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Do you have any last words, Professor X?
Hey, just wishing everyone well for the holiday season, and preparing for the new year. And I hope that was a big help, give you something to think about. Glad it's food for thought, and yeah, let's get at it.
Yes, let's get at it. So we have about 30 seconds left before we land in Boston. So again, thank you so much, stepping out of Babylon. Thank you, Professor X. Everyone, please follow Professor X. Please follow my sister, Janice BR. Please follow my sister, Wise Up. Shout out to my sister, The One Love Below. Everyone, please follow Culture Chronicles. Please follow DJ J. Jonah. Please follow my sister, Novocaine Omega, and her other channel, Black Girl Gamer. Shout out to my Shoes House fam bam, Headphonius Monk. Wonderful, wonderful to see you today. And I think the raid is complete. So I will say this has been another episode of Hella Random Radio, where positive energy lives. I love you. I love me. I love us. Peace.